Hello and welcome everyone. I am Erin Broberg with Sanford Underground Research Facility, and we are so excited to host tonight's virtual introduction to Sanford Underground Research Facility's 2021 Artist in Residence, Lee Kang. We're going to take just a moment for people to start joining the Zoom webinar and for our stream to go live on Facebook. So just hang out with us here for just another minute or so. We're trying to go live on Facebook. While they're figuring it out, I'm going to go ahead and do a plug for our final Deep Talks event, which is going to be on May 13th from 6 to 7 p.m. Mountain Time. It's called Deep Talks Looking for Life on Mars with Sherlock. And that's going to be with Dr. Luther Beagle, who is a scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. And he's going to talk a little bit about early R&D for this Sherlock tool, which is now mounted on the Perseverance rover at Mars. And it is doing some really interesting research. He's been operating on Mars time, being awake when it's daytime on Mars, helping his team with some amazing research. And it does have an interesting connection to early R&D at Sanford Lab. So if you can join us on May 13th, that would be amazing. Awesome. Okay, great. Well, thanks for hanging out with us on Zoom. We're now live on Facebook too, so we can go ahead and get started. Again, I am Erin Broberg, and I'm here at Sanford Underground Research Facility. And we're so glad that you could join us for tonight's event. Tonight's event is brought to you by Sanford Underground Research Facility, the SURF Foundation, and Black Hills State University. So tonight, we really want to hear your questions. We want to hear everything that you're curious about as our artist in residence is giving her talk. So if you're joining us via Zoom webinar, put those questions in the Q&A. And if you're joining us via Facebook Live, go ahead and pop those questions in the comments and we will answer from both places. So here to introduce tonight's featured speaker is Gina Gibson, who is the coordinator of SURF's Artist in Residence program. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Gina. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Hello, and thank you for joining us tonight. As Erin said, my name is Gina Gibson. I'm the coordinator for the Sanford Underground Research Facility's Artist in Residence program, or fondly known as SURF-AIR. This program is a new partnership between SURF and Black Hills State University, where I am a professor of graphic communication. And you may be wondering what the purpose of such a program is. The purpose of the SURF-AIR program is to invite artists to create work inspired by the Sanford Underground Research Facility, set in the beautiful Black Hills of South Dakota. SURF's unique location and history make it an ideal place for creative work. SURF is the deepest underground laboratory in the United States, reaching nearly a mile below the surface. It houses experiments in physics, biology, geology, and engineering. Artist in residence programs are used as a tool to create awareness and encourage interdisciplinary work. This residency is modeled after various programs offered by government, science, and industry, including the National Park Service and other laboratories around the globe. In the fall of 2020, SURF made an official announcement and invited artists to apply for this program. We had 20 artists apply from 11 states and even a few from out of the country. The range of media is also impressive. We had applicants working in painting, sculpture, video, photography, and performance art. A committee of members from SURF, as well as the local arts community, reviewed these applications and sent those recommendations to the director of the lab. In Lee Kang's artwork, we saw the strong influence of her location and environment. When an artist is influenced by place, like Professor Kang is, the work becomes the direct result of the artist experience in that place. And there aren't many places as unique as SURF. It is with great pleasure that I introduce Lee Kang, esteemed assistant professor at Idaho State University. Lee received her Master of Fine Arts degree from Rhode Island School of Design and has also done coursework at Brown University, Columbia University, and Seoul National University. Tonight, we invite Lee to share her previous artwork and what attracted her to apply to the Surf Air program. Lee, thank you for joining us tonight. We look forward to learning more about you and your artwork.
Hello, my name is Lee Kyung Kang, but you can call me Lee Kang. So thank you for the introduction for me, Professor Jenna Gibson. Then now I'm gonna share my screen really quick, so then we can jump into my presentation shortly. So I think now you can see the video that I'm playing. Then the video that you're looking at right now, that was the work that I made 2012, 13, when I lived in Seoul, South Korea. So the building that I painted right now in the video was right next to where I used to live in Seoul, South Korea. Then I painted and then taped, kind of decorate, and then try to excavate the unseen space that we couldn't see from outside, but then which is present but never fully revealed. So the reason why I wanted to have this video as my first slide, that remind me of like a kind of site work that I did for the first time as a performative, as well as sort of like my installation expectation and aspect of my work. So like I wanted to have the existing building and then the abandoned building at the same time from the view. Then like I wanted to have kind of documentation by the time. So I'm from Seoul, South Korea originally. Now I'm living in Pocatello, Idaho, since I'm working in Idaho State University as assistant professor in the art department. So I'm gonna talk about my work all the way back then, 2012 to 2015, when I was living in Seoul, South Korea. So then like you can understand how I became like being here, you know, how I became an artist residency in Surf. And like my interest and then my work has been like kind of started from almost 10 years ago from now on. Then like we can talk about like how my work has kind of progressed since then. So Seoul, not sure whether you are aware of this city or whether you know the city a lot, but Seoul is one of metropolitans in the world, and then it's a really busy city. So like I grew up from there almost 27 years, and then I came to the US for my master's degree. So even if Seoul has been modernized for the last 70 years, it has become like one of metropolitans in the world, but there are still many construction sites. And I was fascinated by structural frameworks and then the bone and skeleton of infrastructures in the urban landscape. So like I was interested in sort of like a dichotomy between new building and then old building, things like that. So by exploring the surface of the spatiality, such as construction sites and the scaffolding structure, I've leveraged architectural imagery with mixed media. I was seeking to uncover the unseen space, which is present but never fully revealed. So as you see, scaffolding structures in that image, that I took that one from under construction site, that I was interested in the aesthetic and then the visual of the structures. So like when I prepared this presentation, I happened to find this old painting that I made 2012, which I was almost forgetting about it. So I was a little bit surprised that by 2012, even though I was interested in that space of the underground or like unseen space that I couldn't see from for real, you know, so I tried to visualize those area that I couldn't see or it's hidden, you know, like, but we know like it's present, you know. And then this painting also reminds me of like a sort of like my architectural interest and like based on my room that I wanted to visualize the area that I couldn't see, but I wish I could be there, you know. So sort of like my interest of finding the hidden space and then try to excavating the area that I couldn't see from the outside and then for real. And then once I studied painting and then finished my degree in Seoul, South Korea, and then I happened to think, well, the oil painting is such a like a flexible medium that like I was not able to make a specific structure that I was interested in. So I was curious, or I was kind of exploring the medium that if I could use photography images or more like a graphic visuals like more actively. So Then I learned how to use screen printing, which is one of kind of printmaking techniques that I am actually currently teaching and then currently using for my work a lot. So as you see on the aluminum plate, and I was using photographic image, and then I took those photos. Sometimes I borrowed those images from manuscripts and then blueprints, So then I design and then manipulate those images from Photoshop, Illustrator, by using digital platform to create those designs, which is very different from like a work that I made from painting. So then like once I use those kind of construction material, getting out of the traditional medium that, because it was from canvas, which is very traditional surface, the substrate that you're using for painting. And then now I was using like the different like a surface, different materiality, and then different supplies. So I happened to think of like, what if I take the aluminum out of the ball, then I can make a freestanding structure, or even like a sculpture out of it. So like at that point, like I was interested in making kind of three-dimensional work out of the two-dimensional work of 2D surface that I used to use. And then eventually from this three-dimensional work, then I thought about like making actual installation in the space. So like because I studied painting and printmaking in my undergrad and then grad school, then I was interested in like using the wall as a substrate, and then becoming things getting out of the wall, being in the space, and then wanted to experiment with the light and then shadow, structure at the same time. So like I made this installation for the first time in my life. Then, like I said, because I'm so used to, I'm very like familiar with the two-dimensional languages and the medium. So I always starting from drawing and then kind of back and forth 2D to 3D at the same time. And then I had opportunities to have exhibitions in the factory space. And then like I got inspired from those sites and then site-specific installation. And then I was using laser cut and then digital fabrication methodologies to create this, to cut the wood in the certain structures, So that was somehow like I started to use digital skills a lot, for my work, and then try to make some installation in the space to understand the speciality and then the sculptural way of drawing 2D to 3D kind of back and forth. And then I had an opportunity to have showing my work in the garage space. So as you see, I collected like lots of found objects from under construction site, and then I try to get the idea of kind of the contrast between the roughness of the materiality versus very fine and then very refined lines, very refined aesthetic that I found of from construction site at the same time. So by the time I was also interested in like art historically, that I was inspired by like a Russian constructivism and the style. So like I wanted to incorporate those design aesthetic into my fine art practice in a way from this installation. And then after I studied painting, then I learned how to make printmaking, as you saw like from earlier in slide. So then I wanted to see like if I can use the idea of printmaking into the space to make the installation. So as you see like over here, then the middle slide. So then you can see that the paper was kind of folded, so to get the kind of structure of it, so that was kind of idea that from 2D to 3D, then I can play with paper and then the structure and then the space at the same time. Well, so that was work from Seoul, South Korea. Then I finished my degree and then I worked at the gallery a little bit. Then I was still not sure what I need to do for the future, because as an artist, like being an artist, surviving as an artist, I figured it's really hard because, like after the degree, but I was not sure if I'm good at making art, or not, so still I wanted to see my potentials and my possibilities being in different environments. So, because I lived in Seoul like for a long time, so I wanted to see myself in different environment. Then I applied first residency in Minnesota, really rural area. Then that was my very first experience of artist residence. Then that made me actually living in United States right now. So then like I was able to apply and then participate this many residencies. And then now I'm in Stanford Underground Research Facility. So I will talk about I will talk about artist residency experience, not every single one that I've done, but maybe a few of them I will introduce, and then I will talk about what I did and then how I become like an artist at this point, like how I got influenced by for those kind of experience so far. So as you know, artists in residence, basically it's opportunity existing for, and then existing, and then they invite artists, academians, and curators, all manner of creative people for the time and the space away from their usual environment and the obligations. So they provide a time of reflection, research, presentation, production, and immersion into a new culture. So me, like I said, very briefly introduce myself at the beginning of this slide as this lecture that I'm teaching in institution. I'm an educator / artist at the same time. So every summer break or whenever I have free time, I try to get out of like my workplace. Then I need some change. I need some like a new inspiration and the influence. So like that's why I've been applying a lot of different artist residency. And then the first, not the first, but then I think let's say the third residency that I did was in Vermont, Johnson, Vermont, in the US, which is called Vermont Studio Center. So by the time I was interested in like a vernacular architectural structure in that, specifically in the New England area and in Vermont, they have weird, like a kind of a very unique the shape of the window due to the brutal winter weather. And then at the second floor, because they have short time for the sunlight, so they wanted to get sunlight a little bit more on the second floor. So like they had the window called Witch's Window. So I found out that structure that I was only able to find from that structure in Vermont, that I wanted to use that architectural part in my work. So as you see, the center part of this image, they can see that from the wall, I drew that window on the wall. And then I try to start from there to think about like, how am I going to kind of making the structure that I couldn't see from outside, but then like, I know like it's in history, it's been changing and changing over and over again. So I wanted to get that structure from my imagination, and then also from the fact that it's existing. So like I wanted to combine those ideas into the work together. So I want to make viewer to be confused a little bit by this distortion and this view of this documentation of this installation. So as you see, you know, like the way that I made, the way that I paint with gray color, or the like a kind of color of look as if it looks like it's a shadow, was something that like people get confused, and like, is it from the structure of the shadow or is it real painting on the wall, you know? So that was sort of like my intention that I wanted to use. I wanted to make that installation. It is real installation, but from the photo, like it looks kind of more manipulated image, you know, in a way. So that was kind of my intention, that I wanted to use those kind of color. So once I drew painting on the wall, and then I coming out of the wall to think of the structure by using wooden strips, and then I also added some found object from like a vintage store that I was able to get, you know, like kind of from that site specific installation. So then like I realized as an artist who is dealing with lots of different installation, that I won't be able to share this installation with viewers all the time. It's a very temporal way. And then the photo documentation is the only way that I can share with people. So there is a limitation that I wanted to take advantage of that limitation that I have. So sometimes, like I make work in real space, but then once I take photo, and then that photo even looks better than real, like that kind of irony that I also wanted to use as a part of my work. So like I just happen to think that it's interesting for me to see that like a photo is the only way that I can communicate, I can share with people. Then like that photo might be even more important than like a real installation, So that was my idea that I was able to inspire from this work. Then I came back to studio. Then like, okay, so like I'm gonna use the photo as a medium to think of like how I'm gonna manipulate the space or the image itself to think of my way of documentation, my way of installation, So like I was using the light source from the video projector in a way. So then like you can see that just one image of like the installation right now, but then I took like 1,000 of different images by by moving my projector and then different shot of this part. And then using those photos for making this traditional etching print as a photo etching methodology. So like I transfer that photo image into copper plate or photopolymer plate. Then I try to lay it out as I wanted to. Then that made it possible to think of like another way of installation, to think of being in the real time to make another a different installation way of thinking, So that was the way that I've been. That's been the way that I work with photography and then traditional printmaking, then installation, kind of at the same time as circulation, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's the way that I try to figure out how I'm gonna make installation to be an influence to my other work in a way, sort of like a photo, making installation, take photo, and then the photo goes back to the work, So that kind of in circulation that I created my own circulation. So then afterwards, like I want to use more actively like my digital source and digital skills, So then I wanted to so that was kind of my works process by the time. And then, like you feel like I travel a lot, and I like to, go somewhere that I never been, as an artist to influence, also just me as a just person that I like to travel. Then and then like ironically, I have very bad sense of direction, so I have to use navigation, GPS, Google Map, Google Earth, almost all the time, Like still, I'm using Google Map. I'm in my neighborhood even still, because not that I have to use, but then I like to use because I get used to it. And then I assume that many people like are using those GPS in these days. So yeah, for finding some place, So that digital interface, then like I found out this kind of glitch and then failure from Google Map when I looked up that like a Providence, Rhode Island, where I went to grad school. So this or the scene that you're looking at it's a river, and then it's a bridge. And then you can see there's kind of distorted trees and buildings, things like that. And then once your cursor moved around, like a kind of being underground or below the surface, then you can all of a sudden see this kind of like weird universe or the this universe area. So like it was kind of scary and then like creepy, but at the same time, it was very interesting for me to see as an artist, like what is this, like I wanted to figure out what glitch and the what failure, what makes it happen. So then it turns out Google Map they're using this car has camera on the top has 360-degree that they're taking photo of the whole space, and then they patch them together as to make this space more like a seamless way. But due to the like insufficient information, then the way that they put them together is not enough like a photo to make it smooth, you know. So still, you can see a lot of different errors. This bizarre situation that you can easily see when you kind of navigate through that virtual space in the Google Map. And then like that universe area, then like that makes me question myself, what is underneath of the surface? Like where am I standing? Like what is real space? What is virtual space? You know, like that's the kind of question that's still in my mind, like whenever I look at the space or like whenever I just walking down the street, or like whenever I feel like my feet on the ground, just I happen to question myself still that what's underneath, you know, what's going on, area that we don't see, you know. That's my main question that I'm still having like in my work. And then that's very interesting for me to figure out. I mean, not that I think can figure out, but then just keep questioning myself to think of like those questions, those experiences. So then like as you see, I screen captured this bizarre and then failure moment like 100,000 times. Then I try to capture that moment as a printed materials. So as you see, I had 6,000 piles of paper to capture those failure moment, and then I printed out. Then I was using offset printing, which is for mass production printing materials for like magazines or newsprint, you know. So technically, you can control the amount of ink or the color of ink, you know, manually. So then I wanted to make every single different sheets of like a 6,000 pile of paper for my work. So like that was somehow like my question, that like in between real space or virtual space, in between the world above and the world below, and then like is there a space that I can imagine that I can capture the moment that like we couldn't see as a printed material, you know? That's very stupid sometimes, somewhat like, you know, that's very, I think it's stupid, but it's very whimsical question that maybe it doesn't even, yeah, it might not even, you know, it doesn't even make sense for people like, what are you asking about, you know, like, so, but then like that kind of stupid question just makes me think that, you know, like the material of paper, we can touch it, but then we can grab it, you know, the moment that we don't see from real space, you know. So I just wanted to figure out what's the thing that tangible, what's the thing that intangible that like we are perceiving, and then like the perception of reality, then like how do you see the world? So like now this is installation view that I had show like as my graduate for my thesis show. Then I wanted to have people being in my work, then like they want to participate in my work to destroy my work in a way by using shredder, and then they shred my work, and then the shredded pieces of the part of my work also that can be part of my installation in a way. So then like it's kind of another circulation that I just talked about, like from installation, taking photo can be back to my print, you know. So like see this, like the way that I capture from Google Map the failure moment or glitches, and then I capture it and then printed it, and then I shred it. Then the shredded pieces or papers, and that can be also part of another piece of art. You know, so that kind of circulation that I kept thinking, then like that was sort of interesting part that I wanted to have participatory experimentation with people. And then I happen to think that, you know, like this kind of, like when I make this installation, then like sometimes I go back to this drawing. It's very traditional drawing to think of my diagram of like my ideas, because when you hear from me that like, oh, the circulation that I created myself from installation to photo back to real time, so real to virtual, virtual to real, that can be overwhelming. And sometimes I'm also confused what I'm talking about, in terms of like that creative word that I defining myself is in between space. So like that in between space that I try to make it more like a resisting, like a more legitimate, like a space that like I can define a little bit more as if it's existing for real, So I try to make it realistic drawing as a diagram, then I can explain that ideas better, and then I can also articulate my ideas better. So then like after my grad school in RISD, then I was still, okay, so I think I like to make art, but I don't know how I'm going to survive. I don't know how I'm gonna keep making art, like stable way or like a, different way, So then I was looking for the opportunities. Then like Doha, Qatar had second branch campus of Virginia Commonwealth University, which that was providing artist residence program at the same time teaching fellowship. So I was really interested in teaching experience since luckily I was able to teach courses in Rhode Island School of Design in my grad program. So I wanted to keep pursuing like my teaching experience at the same time like working as an artist. So I went there, which I never been, and then I was able to teach students over there. Then this course that I asked them to draw themselves or draw people peer, and then they wanted to use unconventional material to create another drawing, expand their drawing into the wall. So that was something that I was teaching at the time. So yeah, it was really cool experience in terms of cultural difference that I didn't experience before, Also, like majority of students are female, so like I enjoy teaching those people, like from different country, different background, different, culture. So like that was a really good experience that I had. And then because they support a lot for our program, then I was able to use cutting edge technologies for risography, things like that. So that was also part of the experience. So as you see, like when you get out 20 minutes from Doha, like you can be in Mars, you can be literally out of nowhere. So like whenever I have free time, I try to go out and then take pictures and then video, So that was part of my experience of artist in residence that I had to make my work. I had to keep pursuing my artistic careers. So like from here that I collected rocks and sand, then I put it into the green screen studio. Then I took the video and then I try to make that kind of panning architecture, which I defined, which I kind of made up the name for the in-between space that I try to define, try to look for from real space to the virtual space. And then from this video, I screen capture the certain image, and then I try to make a traditional CMYK screen printing to see whether I can get the right color or not, a little bit more manual way to think of like my traditional practice versus digital practice, and where I can locate myself being in that color calibration, things that I can control myself, control like from my artistic standpoints. And then, yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed using green screen, like green screen gave me a lot of different inspiration, different ideas, because it looks very flat, but it has depth, So then the medium of video, like it's still like it's intangible, like you can't really touch it. But then like I wanted to use more like a tactility of the experience than like a use of sort of like this sort of like this different kind of materiality, different kind of texture. So like to see whether I can get that idea out of the flatness or not, So because I studied painting and then printmaking, then also I'm interested in the space. But then the flatness of the medium just fascinated me to think of like, how am I going to understand the layers and the space from this video medium, you know? And then I made this video. As you see, this scene, this photo got into this painting. And then I try to get the idea of the painting's architectural and temporal dimensions that I wanted to make traditional painting once again. So yeah, the Doha, Qatar, that space is surreal, you know, like it's very, you just feel like you're living a dream, you know? And then this was kind of fun moment that, like, as you see, I was top of the hill of the sand dune. And then I climbed up to the sand dune to take pictures. And then when I turned back, and that was my car, and then the group of camel came to the car, and they spit on my car, you know? So that was kind of scary, fun experience that I took that picture as my memory. And then came back to US. And then another residency experience that I had was in Hope College, Michigan, Holland, Michigan. They had work as an artist in residence. And then it was 2 months or 3 months experience being in the Hope College campus that I was able to make work and to focus on my practice. So yeah, I made a lot of work, as you see over here. I can show more work after this. So that was a drawing on the wall. For the drawing that I got inspired from Tatlin's Tower. So like as one in the right side, you can see this image from Russian constructivism. I think you might be familiar with this image as if you're familiar with the Russian constructivisms in art history. So Tatlin's Tower, monument to the Third International, which is one of projects that was designed for grand building by the Russian artist Vladimir Tatlin. But ironically, it was never built. So it is a more theoretical concept of monumental propaganda, which could have been, replaced as a new idea of the incoming regimes by the time. But I was more interested in the fact that it was never built, but it was prototyped and hypothetical concept of wooden model as a picture you're looking at right now. And then it has been very strong impression for me to remind of concept of Russian constructivism. So the hypothetical concept of machine that is not existing in the world. But I felt like before I found out the fact that it was never built, like I thought it's a real thing that it's in the world, it is existing. So by get some inspiration from those ideas that I wanted to make the device that doesn't exist in real time, but then I wanted to make a realistic drawing as if it's existing in real, like to articulate or try to make to talk about my ideas a little bit more realistic way. So I made a title monument to the n dimension, and then it was pencil drawing on the wall. So like I got inspired from like a camera obscura, like which is ancient, the observational tool, like from those historical aspect. Then like I try to make my theory and then my own way of imagination into this whole machine structure. Then like, yeah, that was sort of like a main part of my whole exhibitions, that people looked at it and then people like have confusions and questions, and then they got started from those questions to look at my work. So yeah, I made installation in this way to use mirror, like I use mirror a lot for my installation to think of like the real space versus non-real space or virtual space, The reflection of the real space is not real from my standpoint. And then the reflection makes me think that different word and different aspect of the space or the perspective. So like that just makes me like excited to think of like other parts of the installation that I couldn't see until I take picture of it, So that's part of my installation that I inspire from work to the work, in a way. And then this work that I made, like as you see, the video of the pile of the yellow sand and then the actual yellow sand, the yellow paint which is dripping from the wall. So I wanted to feel the tactility and that tangible moment of the materiality from the liquid to the sand, and then the sand in the video medium, which you can't touch, but then you can see, so that kind of color slash materiality slash the texture, that I wanted to have the kind of immersive experience from that spot at the same time. Then I was using photo etching because I usually get started my work by collecting data and then some images, photography, like from my research, like collection archive. So I wanted to have all the archive in the same spot as kind of printmaking. Then I made an artist book in this way. So you can fold it into and unfold it, as you kind of find out more and more as you open it, the work. So that was experimentation for me to use traditional etching to make a three-dimensional structure of the artist book in a way. Yeah, so this is a whole view that I made this installation on the wall. Then I felt like it's interesting for me to show my work in progress in a way. When you use digital medium a lot, you happen to just edit, then save it, then you want to work more, so I wanted to see this work in progress from my monitor being in the wall in a way, so then people can see how my work can be done, from those collection of photo, collection of images into my traditional medium of painting, printmaking, sculpture. So this is a painting that I made, use of photo and the traditional medium at the same time. So this is a video that I took myself as time-lapse when I make screen printing work. Then I just wanted to explain or show what the screen printing medium is and how it's work. So as you can see, I'm using all different screens for different color. So you can see that this part was red, and then it's yellow, and then it's black. So then you can see that the black layer, and then the red layer, and then the yellow layer, blue layer, and then the gray layer, and then the red layer again. So total 6 layers of work that I made, and then that's how things that's this is a video that I wanted to show how it works in a way that traditional manual way of screen printing by using each color, its screens. So yeah, this is a work that I made 2020, which is kind of recent. That I wanted to make the invented landscape that I define the in-between space in a way that I create my own landscape. So like I said, I collect the images from it's just the collection of sand that I'm collecting, and the rocks, some cartographic images that I wanted to see how people perceive the space back in the day all the way to current, then how do we perceive the space, as a human history. So I've been collecting those ideas and memories and this data into my archive, and then I put them together in a way that I create my own invented space as a screen printing and then the etching. And then happen to think that underground, under land, so then I wanted to also make those imaginative space as a screen print, as a relief printmaking work. So now I'm here in Sanford Underground Research Facility. That I'm so honored, being as an artist residence as a second time artist in residence program. Then I was so excited before I came here, and then now I'm too excited, to think of what I'm gonna make out of this experience. So now I went to 2 times of underground place so far. Then I went to this LG dark matter experiment lab. Then I took this picture of this lots of different pipes, and then that area. Then like it's to contain and purify. This is as I remember, like to contain and purify the xenon gas in pipes with different shapes. Then I thought it reminds me of my painting that I made even before I came here. Then I try to think of like the invisible space, unseen space, how it's gonna look like, you know, that I try to make kind of different, very complicated, like a mechanical parts as a part of my painting. And it reminds me of like a painting that I imagined on Unseen Space entangled structure was kind of similar to what I actually found in the lab for real. So it was very like interesting that how I'm going to make that experience for into my work in different way. It's like now I have better reference for my work. So I'm very excited to use those experience into my work. And then this was the video that I took when I went down to Mariana lab to purify the copper in the clean room. Then I happened to, the scientists and the physicists, that they were really kind to explain well how this works in this way.
The copper in here is layered with the electroformed copper on the inside, and then the very thick pieces around the outside are other clean copper. And then there's a passive shield of just thick lead bricks around the outside, all as shielding. And then we have some...
Yeah, so for me, as you see at the right side of the slide, then that's my work that's how I use copper for my work, you know, like for the copper is very traditional material for etching, pre-making etching process. So you're using ferric acid and then etch the plate as you want to make a matrix, and then you're using press to get the impression on the paper. So as you see, you get the image from copper to the paper, you know, in this way. But they're using copper, very purified copper, to make that very sensitive detectors, and then, you know, like so they in the clean room. So like it was very interesting for me to see how copper is used in different purpose in other industry, you know, like from my experience and their scientist experience. So I want to use this copper experience that I observed this copper in the science lab, and then bring it into like my work. And then I'm not sure how it's going to be, but I am excited to think of that way of copper in a little bit different way for my work.
the copper...
So yeah, this is what I brought today, but I took this picture that's kind of describing my impression in underground. And I think that this is cool to see the collaboration, cooperation, and creates a camaraderie in workspace, which is different from artists' work, you know? Artists tend to be a little bit lonely, you know, because I'm working by myself usually in my studio. But being in that different environment makes me broaden my perspective in human history and then mining history, you know, like a different field of study, and then physical and the labors of human from from our curiosities, you know, makes me think of a lot of different things. So like, yeah, I can't imagine, you know, like how I'm gonna make, you know, like more stuff like for the future. But then the next week, I'm more excited about like things that are waiting for me. Thank you.
Hear me, Matt? Great. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and ask a couple of questions from the audience. You ready? We got a couple of good ones. One question is, what are you trying to achieve with this project, and how personal is it for you?
So like I said, I'm not sure what I'm going to actually make for my exhibitions that is going to happen in Le Town in the art gallery. So I'm looking into the gallery space right now because, like I said, you know, my work is really sensitive to the space, you know, like it's more about site-specific aspect. Then I have to see the space first to think of my work. And then now I'm going underground and then to looking into the scalar space at the same time. So I'll think of like those ideas together eventually to make the kind of site-specific installation. And then, like every time that I go somewhere, like it can be an artist residency or the travel, like I get inspired from the environment a lot. And then I think as an artist, it's important for, it's important to be like, sensitive, and then like to get inspired and to get to know like a new information that I didn't know before, So that's kind of my experience of being an artist. And like, I'm excited to be here to make new art out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite medium?
So like I said, I studied painting and printmaking before, which is kind of two-dimensional work. But now I'm working for installation and then video installation, things like that. So I can't say like my favorite medium at this point, but I like to draw to initialize my idea, articulate my idea. So like I would say drawing is my main part of, practice. Yeah.
Great. Another question is, so the subsurface is a theme of your work, and there's a clear connection to the underground space at SURF. But this attendee is wondering if science and the underlying laws of nature also represent a type of subsurface that you're interested in and maybe want to explore at SURF.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Like as you heard from my talk, then I couldn't go underground in person. So before I came here, I always looked at the space virtually. That was actually like that made my work more like a hypothetical concept and then imagination, because that just kind of makes me imagine more actively because I can see it. But now I can see actual space in person, so it will significantly change my ideas and the work. So like now I'm taking a lot of video and then pictures of actual space, so then that will be a part of my work. And then I want to get the idea of like that the device that I drew on the wall, more realistically, then now I can use those reference into the drawing a little bit better, having a better idea. So that's what I'm thinking, to use those references and experience into my work in a way. Yeah.
Right. Do you find any camaraderie with researchers who are looking for an unseen particle, such as like dark matter, as you are also very familiar with trying to imagine these unseen, intangible places?
Yeah, like it was really, really fascinating for me to listen, for me to hear from those scientists and physicists and their professional like explanation and description of the lab and what they do. Like that's very, very experienced as I am aware. So I like to discuss with them, a little bit more, that next week, then I can get better sense of like how things work and how they visualize the outcome out of it, so that I can actually use those data into my work, so then I can create those camaraderie, like in a way as an artist and then scientists kind of make collaboration together. Yeah.
What artists have influenced you?
Lots of different artists that I can think of at this point, but I like the artists in American artist Sarah Z, who is mainly she's making installation, but then she's also using lots of different two-dimensional work, and then for like she can be one of them. And then Jessica Stockholder, also she's also using a lot of different installation in a way, so I'm interested in her work. And then Laura Owens, who is also painting, but then she's using lots of digital images into it. So yeah, I can think of those artists at this point. Yeah.
Right. Another question asks, having worked in a number of different countries, is your artistic inspiration influenced in any way by the languages being spoken around you?
Yeah, in a way. Well, like when I came to the US for the first time, 2015, I was barely able to speak English, that was hard to be in the artistic community, even if I was able to make art, but then I couldn't speak about what I'm doing as an artist. So that was hard to articulate my idea a little bit, but like the visual has a strength to explain and then talk about what I'm thinking, like in my head and from my perspective. So that's been some like communicative way that I can always communicate with different environment, different setting that I travel and then I try to go to. So that's kind of one of benefit being an artist, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. You talked a lot about preserving some of your installations through photography. Even though you can do that, and even though you can reincorporate some of the parts of your installation, is it sad to see them uninstalled at the end of an exhibition?
Yes, it's kind of like I have a kind of mixed feeling about it. Like sometimes being in the gallery that once I finish my installation, then like well sometimes I could have done better, like I could have fixed this part, so I learn from those work that I make for the next work. But like like I said, I'm taking a lot of photography and then video medium, then I'm using those medium as a part of my next work as well. So like it's kind of work in progress in the work process that I'm enjoying, making installation, the installation, taking photo, use of that photo. So that's how things work in my art practice.
Terrific. Okay, well, I think we have come to the end of our questions. So I'm going to go ahead and come on screen in a different location. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Lee. That's an amazing conversation, and I know we're all very grateful for this sneak peek of your art and looking forward to what you're going to create at Stanford Lab. All right, so I want to thank everybody who has been able to join us tonight. And if you enjoyed tonight, we're sure you're going to enjoy our upcoming event and our final Deep Talks of the season. So join us on Thursday, May 13th, which is in just 2 weeks. Usually there's a month between our events on Thursdays. This one is just in 2 weeks. On Thursday, May 13th from 6 to 7 p.m. It is Deep Talks Looking for Life on Mars with Sherlock. Our speaker is Dr. Luther Beagle with NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and his team created the Sherlock tool that is now mounted on the Perseverance rover, which is roaming Mars as we speak. And he has a lot to share about the ups and downs of looking for life on other planets. There's more information on our website. After you leave the Zoom webinar, you'll be given the option to fill out a survey, and we love creating these engaging virtual events. So please leave us some feedback so we can continue improving them. Thank you for joining. Have a great night.